I think there is more to the game For Honor than you might think. On its surface, it's an action game about warriors from different factions, knights, samurai, and Vikings, all clashing in fierce battles. But, according to a graduate student at the University of Huddersfield named Ashley Wright, For Honor actually engages in a deep exploration of the Middle Ages, using stylized combat and factional stories to comment on themes of honor, conflict, and the myth of an eternal warrior class. I aim to show, using Wright's master thesis, which is cited in this video's description, how For Honor employs narrative techniques to represent medieval values and to challenge modern perceptions of medieval warfare, honor, and the complex identities of its iconic warrior factions. I'm Dr. Darren Reed, and this is Video Game Lit Review. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm a historian at McGill University, and this is a series where I try to take academic research about video games, much of which is hidden behind paywalls and is written in very complex jargon, and I try to translate it into short, accessible videos. So this is a relatively new series, so please let me know if you have any thoughts in the comments, and also to make suggestions either to improve this series or new games to play that you want me to cover in the future. To understand For Honor's approach to medieval themes, we first have to look at its setting and its context within medievalism. The game is set in a fictional medieval world 1,000 years after a natural disaster devastated the land. This cataclysmic setting allows For Honor to avoid making specific historical claims, instead creating a timeless medieval environment where factionalism reigns. The three factions, knights, samurai, and Vikings, are each presented as enduring iconic warrior archetypes, detached from any real timeline or culture, but shaped by the universal ideals of honor and survival. This creative choice allows For Honor to focus on selective authenticity. While it borrows symbols from medieval history, like Viking seafaring motifs and samurai armor, the game emphasizes warrior identities and idealized roles over historical specifics. The setting therefore serves as a backdrop for exploring concepts of warrior identity in a world designed to reflect medieval themes without actually adhering to strict historical accuracy. And a central narrative force in For Honor is Apollyon, the warlord of the Blackstone Legion, whose ideology drives much of the conflict. Apollyon's philosophy asserts that humanity is inherently inclined toward warfare, and he views peace as a deception. The manipulation of the Vikings and samurai reveals Apollyon's belief in survival through conflict, showing their intent to maintain an age of war by engineering strife over resources and alliances. Apollion's character embodies a critique of honor. Their ideology presents honor as a tool for justifying violence, and questioning if ideals like chivalry and warrior codes are noble or are merely serving to sustain endless cycles of bloodshed. Through Apollion's manipulation, For Honor asks us players to consider if such ideals are truly aspirational or are simply convenient narratives for legitimizing conflict, and it raises questions about the integrity and meaning of honor in the context of warfare. For Honor's world further amplifies its exploration of medieval themes through its temporal and spatial representation. The game constructs a medieval-inspired setting as a timeless, mythic battlefield, purposely disconnected from specific dates or eras. And this environment, built on a foundation of 1,000 years of war following a natural disaster, creates an eternal medieval stage that serves as a symbolic landscape rather than a historical one. Ubisoft's decision to set the game in this unanchored past allows players to embody archetypal medieval warrior identities. This structure, which is known as narrative gardens, creates an organized stage environment that invites players to engage with medieval tropes in a stylized way. So maps, characters, and objects function as narrative elements that evoke timeless, idealized images of the medieval ages, where medieval history and legend merge to create a unique player experience. For Honor's storytelling approach is equally integral to the exploration of medieval values. The single-player campaign follows a deterministic structure, with a linear preset story driven by Apollyon's vision of constant warfare. Players experience a sequential narrative where choices have little to no impact on the unfolding story, which reinforces Apollyon's bleak worldview that conflict is inevitable in a warrior's life. However, the multiplayer mode offers a contrasting structure, introducing an open ontological experience where players determine the outcome of factional success. This player-driven faction warfare allows individuals to choose and shape their allegiance, introducing a sense of agency that contrasts sharply with the fixed storyline of the single-player campaign. So this divide between the two modes highlights the difference between honor as a rigid, unchanging ideal and honor as an evolving concept that players can influence, which reflects a more complex understanding of honor and loyalty. In For Honor, each faction represents an archetype drawn from historical imagery but reimagined to fit the game's mythic vision of the Middle Ages. Each faction's visual and narrative elements are meticulously curated to communicate a unique identity. The knights represent chivalric values and noble virtues, symbolized by crusader armor and fortress-like settings that evoke an idealized Western sense of order. The Vikings highlight strength, survival, and resilience, channeling popular depictions of Viking raids and Norse endurance in a harsh world. The samurai embody discipline and an honor-driven warrior ethos inspired by the Bushido Code, albeit through a romanticized lens more reflective of Edo period ideals than medieval Japanese history. These archetypes, rooted in selective authenticity, intentionally bypass strict historical accuracy to evoke a medieval feel, and the selective use of these iconic symbols enables For Honor to explore the idea of honor within each faction's identity, and thereby invites players to inhabit these warrior roles, which are steeped in values that both resonate with and challenge our perceptions of medieval legacy. Ultimately, For Honor presents a layered critique of warrior honor, questioning its authenticity and value. Through Apollyon's manipulations and through the deterministic single-player narrative, the game suggests that honor is often little more than a veneer for violence. However, the multiplayer experience offers a different interpretation, where players shape factional outcomes, adding personal meaning to their allegiances and challenging the notion that honor is merely a tool for maintaining conflict. This ambiguity in the narrative functions as a critique of romanticized medievalism itself, challenging players to reconsider their assumptions about the Middle Ages, as well as their assumptions about a warrior ethos. Are the ideals of honor, loyalty, and chivalry aspirational, or do they serve as convenient myths to justify conflict? By leaving this question open-ended, For Honor allows players to experience both sides of the debate, engaging with medieval tropes while questioning the validity of those tropes themselves. But I want to know what you think. Do you agree with the argument that For Honor uses its fictional setting to critique romanticized ideals of medieval honor? Or do you think it leans more towards celebrating those ideals? Are there aspects of the game's narrative or gameplay that you feel further strengthen or perhaps weaken this interpretation? Let me know. I'm eager to hear your perspectives, so please don't hesitate to share your thoughts or any interpretations that you might have. And also, please leave any suggestions for other games that you think you might want a video made about. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can check out some of my other videos, whether in the series History Through Games, which is more about historical interpretation of video games, or through this series Video Game Lit Review, where I more walk through arguments that other scholars have. But that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.